Welcome to Proverp video series. In this video, you will learn how to manage cash flow with Proverp. Before we dive into the Proverp system, let's have a brief overview of cash flow out, that is, managing payments. Cash flow in, that is, managing deposits. Payments can be made to vendor, customer, shareholder, lender, or an employee. First, let's look into different scenarios for vendor. Let's say you are paying a vendor for the procurement. If it is a cash purchase, where no purchase order is involved, create a direct voucher and make payment against the voucher. If you are procuring through a purchase order, simply create a voucher against the material receiving and pay against the voucher. If you have paid in advance earlier for the purchase order, you have to manage the advance to create the voucher for the rest of the amount, and pay against the voucher. We will look into these later, in the video. For the use case, where you are paying a vendor for the services you have received, simply create a voucher against the purchase order, and pay through the voucher. Oftentimes, you may need to make recurring payments, like rents and such. Just create a recurring voucher, and pay against the voucher. For statutory payments, raise a direct voucher, and pay against the voucher. It's not uncommon in the business to pay advances to vendors before the material receiving. In such cases, create an advance voucher against the purchase order, and pay to vendor. But when you receive the material, make sure to manage the advance, to close the advance and create another voucher for the rest of the amount. Now let's look into the use case where you need to make a payment to the customer. Let's say you received an advance earlier for the merchandise you have sold recently, and customer sent you a debit note for the damaged goods. If customer has returned the goods back, then you need to create the voucher against the receiving, and pay against the voucher. If customer is not going to return the goods back, for whatever the reason, you just create a regular voucher, and make the payment against the voucher. In both the cases, you need to set up the customer as vendor. We will look into it later in the video. There is another way to make a payment to the customer without having to set up vendor. It is by making the payment using Manage Checks functionality under Treasury module. But it is not recommended. You may need to pay shareholders for several reasons, like loan repayment, or paying advances. Whatever the case, to make payments to shareholders, use Manage Checks functionality from Treasury module. When you are repaying a loan from a lender, or paying monthly EMIs, just use Bank Transfers functionality from Treasury module. All the employee payments like salaries, wages, bonus, advances and per diem are handled from payroll. Cash flow in, or deposits, can come from different sources like shareholders, customers, vendor refunds, or a lender. Shareholders bring in money, as capital or loans. Either case, deposits are done through Manage Deposits from Treasury module. Let's look at deposits from customer. When amount is received from customer, if you know the invoice for which you received the amount, apply customer receipt against the invoice. If you don't know the invoice, make deposit to on account and manage on accounts later to reconcile the invoice. We will look into it in later part of the video. Seldom, you will receive money from vendor. When you receive credit note from a vendor, if you are returning material, create invoice against the delivery challan, and apply customer receipts when payment is received. If you are not returning the material, make a direct bank deposit from Treasury module when payment is received. In case you are taking a loan from a lender, and when you receive money, use Manage Deposits functionality to make the deposit. Okay, now let's look into Proverp system, how to manage these payments and deposits we just briefed. Here are the scenarios for payments. Payment through regular or direct voucher. Payment through purchase order voucher. Payment through advance voucher. Manage vendor advances. Manage checks or payments. Manage bank transfers. Now let's see how to create vouchers for different scenarios. Navigate to Vouchers. Click on Create Voucher button. To create a regular or direct voucher, select type as regular. To create a purchase order voucher, select type as purchase order, and enter purchase order. To create an advance voucher, select type as advance and select purchase order. Enter all other required information and save the information, to create the voucher. Let's see how we make a payment. Navigate to Vendor Payments. Click on Create Payment button. Enter bank details, payment mode, payee information, and other required information, along with the vouchers you want to make payment for. Save the information, to create the payment. Let's look into how to manage vendor advances. If you have paid vendor advance on purchase order, you can recover the advance later, when you create a voucher on receiving for the same purchase order. Just check the option to recover advance on open account, so that, when voucher is created, it would automatically deduct the advance. If you paid the advance using vendor payment functionality, by selecting on account, you need to recover the advance using Manage Advances page. Navigate to Manage Advances page. Select the vendor. Page shows all the advances paid and not recovered yet. Select the advance you want to recover and click on Apply Vouchers. Enter amount against the voucher to be applied, and click Apply. Now voucher will show the applied amount and the balance to be paid. Let's look at managing checks. To manage checks or payments, navigate to Manage Checks. Click on Create Bank Payment button. Enter bank details, payment method, pay to type as vendor, select vendor, amount, and other details to make a bank payment. Let's see how to make bank transfers. Navigate to Manage Transfers. Click on Create Bank Transfers button. Enter payer bank information, recipient bank information, and payment information, and save the details to do bank transfer. Now, let's look into CashFlow in, or deposits side of the functionality. We will walk through procedure for applying customer receipts, applying customer receipts for on account, managing customer on accounts, managing deposits, managing bank transfers. Let's start with applying customer receipts. Navigate to Customer Receipts functionality. Click on Create Apply Customer Receipt button. Enter bank information, customer information. As soon as you enter the amount, system brings all the invoice lines ready to be applied against the receipt. You can select the specific invoice lines to apply along with amount. Save the information to create the receipt. Applying receipts on account is very much similar to the regular receipts, except selecting the invoice lines. Because you don't know what invoice line to apply this for, make sure to uncheck the invoice line that system has automatically selected, and select the checkbox for Apply Balance Amount to On Account. When you save the information, system will create receipt. Let's see, how do we manage customer on accounts in our system? Navigate to Manage Customer on Accounts. Select the customer. System shows all the on-account receipts, waiting to be reconciled with invoices. Select a receipt, and click on Apply Invoices. Now drag the invoice lines to be added to worksheet. Once you selected all invoices, just click on Add Items to Worksheet button. This will create a worksheet record. Now let's navigate to Receivables Worksheets. Select the worksheet you just created, and submit for approval. Let's look into Manage Deposits functionality. Navigate to Manage Deposits. Click on Create Bank Deposit button. Enter bank information, receipt mode, received from type, who we received it from, amount and other details. Save the information to create the bank deposit. Let's see how to make bank transfers. Navigate to Manage Transfers. Click on Create Bank Transfers button. Enter payer bank information, recipient bank information, and payment information, and save the details to do bank transfer. This concludes the demo. We hope you achieve great efficiency by following these guidelines. Thank you for watching.